I know we want to touch on the AI stuff. So like to put a bow on that, I think before long, it will likely some of like the very entry level, like content, maybe copywriter stuff. But I think if you're constantly learning about like the world of marketing, if you're constantly improving your copywriting skills, if you're figuring out basically how you can help your clients even more and insert yourself into the big picture of
Mhm.
their marketing, then I think like you'll be just fine. And I think like at the point where AI overtakes anything like that, we have bigger problems than,
Yeah.
oh, what's happening in the world of digital marketing. So really like the bottom line is like AI is a tool. You can use it to further your career. I don't think like if you
I,
don't want to put in the work of like learning and growing, then maybe it's something to worry about. But like if you're kind of in it for the long haul and you're like, yeah, I actually want to improve and continue learning, then I think you'll be just as fine as anyone else. And that's what I'm banking on at least.
I think use it as a prompt, right? Like I'm maybe this is something I should look at, but when I write ads, I don't start with a blank page because I have a hard time starting with a blank page. So I do research and I look at what other people are do, and I try to take a line or a framework or whatever, an idea, and use that as my starting point. And I think you could probably do the same thing with the AI, where you could ask that question or tell it to create the thing and then use that as your launching off point. But we were talking about this like with copywriters, but if you're a coach or something, like especially if you're a business coach or that's your positioning yourself that way, like you need to be really careful because you run the risk of potentially, Bobby and I, we were talking about plagiarism, like that being like it's being pulled from different sources, but you also just run the risk of ruining your reputation. Like if there's no consistency and there's no voice to your content, then people aren't going to follow you and they're not going to trust you. And I'm seeing a lot of really young coaches on create platforms and they're talking about like, here's how I'm using this to create content and all this, and they're basically saying like, I'm using this to create my stuff. Like that's damaging to your reputation. I don't know how you don't like see that. Like maybe you're trying to get people to do something and gain a following, but like that following isn't going to buy from you, because if they're buying from you to get your advice and your knowledge and you're saying like, I don't have any unique thought of my own, I have to rely on a robot to create my content, then how does that help you? I just think that people don't think through that kind of stuff. So I'm not worried about it because I feel like a lot of people are going to use it and they're going to hurt their business. Like we've seen that, Bobby, of like people that are, it used to be just people copying, right?
I think you're spot on with that. I think that's exactly right.
They've been talking about like restaurants completely replacing employees with machines for most of my adult life, maybe even longer than that. And it still hasn't happened at scale. These things take a very, very long time. And if you're not able to find some kind of space for yourself to make money, then I mean, all of entrepreneurship is basically just pivoting over and over and over and over again and to continue to make
finding
money.
your spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, cause even when you find your thing and you do well with that, like it doesn't stay for very long. Like you have to continue to move and pivot. So it's the same thing with this, I think.
I think the way that I would view it, if I were someone who was like interested in getting into copywriting right now and is like, is there even a point? I would say, yeah, it's like copywriting is your entry point into this world of entrepreneurship and digital marketing and online business. And it's like a foundational skill that you sort of have to know and understand. And that also by learning it, you understand all these other parts of how a funnel works. You understand like marketing psychology, and you begin to understand the economics of how businesses work. And so I think it's a foundation that you then build onto and grow your skills even more, so that like AI is coming, but by the time that it does, you'll be positioned as an expert to where it's going to be a lot more difficult for AI to touch the work that you do.
And you benefit from like actually learning copy instead of relying on tools to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and it teaches you how to communicate in a way that gets people to pay attention. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as just the human being who interacts with other people, it's like one of the most valuable things you can learn.
100%.